So let's see what your Talkadot feedback flow actually looks like. What's the experience going to be for the person who's giving you feedback? Now, what we recommend using is this little button right here that says Test My Talkadot Flow. When you click on that link, that button, it'll bring up something that looks like this. This is your test mode. This is where we recommend testing out any giveaways, any question structures, anything that you've done to test your Talkadot feedback flow. And you'll notice you're in test mode because it'll say test mode right here up in the top area right here. Now, in test mode, it will have a place for you to put in a code that you'd want to test. Now, if you were to download your slide and scan this QR code, it would pre-populate the code here. During test mode, since you're not scanning a QR code, that code isn't pre-populated. So your audience can either scan your QR code and have their offer code pre-populated in here, so it's one less step for them to take, or they can manually enter it in if they so need to, but just letting you know how it flows in the test mode. So let's go ahead and test it out. So they put in their offer code, they put in email address. We're going to put in some dummy data here. And then there's a blue check mark. Yes, please keep me updated. If this is checked, then these people can get added to your email list. If it gets unchecked, then these people will not be added to your email list. Now, first question is, was the session valuable for you today? If they say yes, our feedback flow goes in one direction. If they say no, our feedback flow goes in a different direction. Why? Because if they didn't find your talk valuable, we want to find out right away. Oh, and by the way, you may notice that there's a lot of gray space on the right and left because this is mobile view, because most people will be taking your feedback on a smartphone. So just in case you're curious why there's that gray space there. Now, the reason why this is important to know is because constantly Talkadot is gathering the information and data that's most relevant to you and never bothering people with questions that are not relevant to them. And this logic is already pre-built in. There's nothing that you have to do to get access to this. So let's assume they say yes. If they say yes, we move them to our 1 to 5 Likert scale. We use the emojis because we've tested tens of thousands and tens of thousands of different surveys, and we've noticed that this is the one that works the best. So we're constantly optimizing and building the best opportunity for you to keep your feedback flow as short as possible, as elegantly designed as possible to get you the data that works, okay? So these are your questions. Now, our standard questions are already built in. If you if you change your optional attributes, these words here would change. But basically, they get to say how actionable your talk was, scale of 1 to 5, how engaging your talk was, how interactive your talk was, how inspiring your talk was. And notice that as this feedback flow is being answered, it's letting them know up top that they have this much more to go. And this blue bar around your image will actually increase as well. So it's just little things to help gamify people taking it so that they know that it's very short. And we give them prompts here to let them know we're seeing what they say. Now, we ask how interested are you in hearing future sessions by Arel, or you in this particular case. So they say yes, probably not, definitely yes. They say definitely yes. Wonderful. Then we say, do you book speakers for events? Now, this is the lead capture part of your feedback flow. Now, if someone says yes, this goes in one direction. If they say no, it goes in yet a different direction. Why? Because if they can't book you to speak, we don't want to ask them a bunch of questions about booking you to speak. But if they can book you to speak, well, we want to ask the next questions. So again, no one in your audience will ever be bothered by questions not relevant to them. Now, in your setup for your particular offer codes, if you'd like to turn the lead generation off for any particular reason, if you turn it off, this question and the subsequent lead generation questions will not be presented, just so you know. So let's assume the person says yes. Well, then we go, great. Would you like to book Arel for a future speaking engagement? Again, exchange my name with your name, right? Yes, I have an event in mind, or possibly, or not yet. So if they say yes, then we go, great, let's get your contact information. So now they go ahead and put in their name, they put in a phone number, we hit next, we go, great, almost done. What else we got to do? So they put in their org, they put in their title, so we know who they are. Now, if they said no, they don't book speakers, or you had the lead gen portion turned off, it would jump to this question right here. Now, if you had to describe this session to a friend or colleague, what would you say? This is our magic qualitative question because it gets better responses typically than what did you like most about the presentation. So it's specifically worded to get you good results. Like, this presentation showed me how to do X and do Y, and it helped me overcome this, and I recommend this talk to anyone. Something really good like this. This is the data that will be turned into your testimonials on your feedback report. Then we ask anything else the event organizer should know. This is where they can say anything they disliked, I'd love to learn more about this, or, and it's a catch-all question to catch any other feedback that people want, and we let people know that they're done. If you have a pro account and you do a custom question, which is an additional qualitative question, there would be one more question in this flow here. So this is an example of what that would look like. So this is the third question that would be added. We like to keep it really short. So if you do add a qualitative question, this is where it shows up here. So in the example I put here, it's, do you want to book a 30-minute coaching session with Arel? And they go, yes, here's my contact info. And then we say, you're all done. Thank you so much. And here they can click on and get the bonus, the cool thing, whatever is that thing that you want to give them. That'll go right there. And you can see this cool little guide that we are giving away here. And then they can connect with you on social media. You can also direct people to click on a specific one. I tend to find if you call people's attention to one particular platform, you'll get better engagement and people actually following you. So if you say, make sure to connect with me on Instagram, but if you love LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, or YouTube or whatever it is that you choose to put there, you can put whatever you want. That's in our backend here. I just surfaced these few because the ones that I want to surface. So you go, click on my Instagram, and then they can click right then and there, and it'll move them over to Instagram, and then they can connect with you on Instagram, which is really nice. So that is what the Talkadot feedback flow process looks like for your audience members when they're giving you feedback on Talkadot.